Pack your bags, sit back, and enjoy a mini vacation to our nation's capital, Washington, D.C. Hi, I'm Kendra from the Northwest Franklin 4-H Club. This spring, I had the privilege of touring this city packed with history, adventure, and sightseeing. Today, I'm going to share with you some of what this great city has to offer. Our first stop is the Capitol Building. The Capitol is home to the Senate and House of Representatives. Office buildings for both the House and Senate are located near the Capitol. The White House. The White House has been home to all of our nation's presidents except our first president, George Washington, who lived at Mount Vernon. This is the home of our first president, George Washington, and his family. Washington Home is decorated with fine artwork and has 9 guest rooms because Washington was very friendly and enjoyed his company. The resting place of George Washington and his wife is found on the property of Mount Vernon. Every so often, they open the gates to the tomb. The Washington Monument stands in memory of our first president, George Washington. As we fought for independence against Britain, Washington was very loyal to our country. Thomas Jefferson Memorial. Thomas Jefferson was very influential in the drafting of the Declaration of Independence. Jefferson was very supportive of the freedom of black slaves. Gettysburg. This is where the Battle of Gettysburg took place on July 1st to the 3rd in 1863. This battle has the largest number of casualties in the American Civil War and is also one of the bloodiest wars in history. Ford's Theater. On April 14th, 1865, President Abraham Lincoln was shot by John Wilkes Booth at Ford's Theater. The Peterson House. After being shot, Lincoln was carried across the street to the Peterson House. This is where President Lincoln would die on April 15, 1862 at 7:22 a.m. Lincoln was 56 at the time of his death. The Lincoln Memorial. The 36 columns on the outside of the Lincoln Memorial represents the 36 states that were in the Union at the time of Lincoln's death. The left side of Lincoln illustrates Lincoln before the war, calm and without tension. The right side illustrates him during the Civil War with tension. Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial. Would be your left, says, "I have a dream." It's kind of hard to read. But it says, "I have a dream," and this is where Martin Luther King Jr. gave his famous "I have a dream" speech. And then on your right is the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial, and this memorial stands to honor one of the most prominent African American leaders in the history of America. King put an end to racial segregation and racial discrimination. In 1964, he received the Nobel Peace Prize, becoming the youngest person to receive this award. The Franklin Delano Roosevelt Memorial. This memorial is in memory of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. The first room represents FDR's first term, non-controversial and without obstacles, and that's the one on the left side. And then the second room represents FDR's presidency during the Great Depression. The 5 steps illustrate the Depression, and there's no water on the top step because we did not recover. The third room represents FDR's presidency during World War II. The water falling over the rocks illustrates the many obstacles he faced at his time. The fourth room represents FDR's death, therefore the water is calm. Water is used throughout the memorial because during his presidency, FDR battled polio, and to help him recover from polio and deal with it, he used a pool. First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt. Eleanor Roosevelt is the only First Lady to have a monument in Washington, D.C. Eleanor is remembered for her help with the women's civil rights movement. The Vietnam War Memorial. On the left is the wall of names, and many people stop by throughout the year just placing things in front of names to remember those who fought during the Vietnam War. And then on the right is the monument that honors women who served as nurses during the Vietnam War. Korean War Memorial. The Korean War Memorial represents all branches of the military and all those from the United States and United Nations that fought in the Korean War. Arlington National Cemetery. This military cemetery is home to fallen soldiers from each of our nation's wars, ranging from the Civil War to the Afghanistan and Iraqi War. Famous people like Audie Murphy, who is the most decorated American soldier of World War II, is buried in Arlington National Cemetery. The resting place of John F. Kennedy can be found at Arlington National Cemetery. Kennedy's eternal flame is located near his grave in Arlington Cemetery. This flame shows that John F. Kennedy, our 35th president, will always be remembered. And you can see that flame in the picture on the far right. Here, I'll put it out. Right here, this is the eternal flame. The Tomb of the Unknown Soldier is located in Arlington Cemetery and overlooks Washington, D.C. Buried here are the remains of unknown soldiers from World War I, World War II, and Korea. This tomb is protected all day, every day by servicemen. No matter what the weather, they're out there. Changing of the guard. This event takes place every half hour during the summer, every hour during the winter, and after the cemetery closes, every 2 hours. The Berlin Wall. Part of the Berlin Wall, which was torn down on November 9, 1989, can be found in the museum. This wall represents the difference between East Berlin and West Berlin. The wall was built to keep capitalism out of West Berlin. And the picture on the right, you're seeing East Berlin side, so it's like all decorated. And then if you were to go to the other side, there would actually be like no markings at all on the wall. As I stated in the beginning, our nation's capital is a city filled with history, adventure, and sightseeing. I hope you enjoyed your mini vacation from your seats, but are ready to get up and experience our nation's capital on your own. Thank you. Are there any questions? Yes.
Can you tell us what was your favorite part of this trip?
The question was if I could tell you what my favorite part of the trip was. Everything, but if I had to pick one, I would say it was cool going to Arlington National Cemetery in Gettysburg. We had to travel out to go to Gettysburg, and we spent a whole day out there, and it was just really cool. And we took a tour around, and it's really hard to get like a good picture to represent like Gettysburg because there's so much to offer. So, and then Arlington National Cemetery is really cool just to see. There's a ton of people buried out there, and it is just really cool. Any more questions? Yes.
If you could go somewhere like that you didn't get to go, where would you go?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Like, when you guys went, did you go like somewhere that you wanted to see, but maybe you guys didn't get to see on your trip?
The question was if on my trip, where I want to go, but we didn't get to go. Okay. So the question was there a place that I wanted to go, but we didn't get to go? We actually didn't get to go to the archives to see like the Declaration of Independence or the Constitution, and that's one of the places I really wanted to go. But it didn't fit into our schedule because our flight ended up getting delayed the first day we were supposed to be out there. So we kind of had to quickly move around to see everything. So, yes. The question was, did we get to visit the White House? We tried to get our name in, but we found out a week before that we were unable to go in. So we quickly went by it one night when we were kind of had a little bit of free time and just took pictures outside of it. So, are there any more questions? Yes.
Where else could you give this presentation?
The question was, where else could I give this presentation? My history class, in 4-H to show people what there is, because I know 4-H offers a trip, the CWF trip. I actually tried to go on that trip, but there weren't enough people, so I ended up going through school. But I would just give it to like the 4-H club to show them that this would be a great opportunity for them to get out there and learn about our nation's history. Are there any more questions? If anyone's interested, I do have a scrapbook up here if they would like to look. Kind of goes in, there's some more pictures in it, that more than what I covered. So if anyone would like to look at it, you can come find me. If not, this concludes my presentation. Thank you.